Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with a video.
I've been dating a boy for a couple of years, and we are head over heels for each other. We were introduced by a mutual friend, and we quickly became friends and were already dating within a few days. He got a job in New Jersey, so I suggested that we both relocate there. My parents were unaware of my relationship at first because I had decided not to tell them until I was certain. Later, I revealed that I was dating and introduced him to my boyfriend before we relocated to New Jersey. Everything was going well, and we were glad to be together, especially since we had moved to a new location. There was a friend of mine in university, and we had a great time together. He called me one day and told me that he needed to talk and it was something very important. I told him that I had moved out of state and was now in New Jersey because my boyfriend had got a job there. He told me that he would fly on a weekend to talk to me as he could not wait for me to return. I asked him if everything was all right, and he told me that everything was all right and he just needed my help. My friend arrived after a couple of weeks and I went to receive him. I invited him to stay with us, but he told me that he wanted to stay in a hotel. I told him that he could get fresh and then could come to our apartment and talk to me. My friend came to see me in the evening. My boyfriend was still not home, but he knew my friend was coming over. I made some coffee, and my friend started by saying that he had joined his dad's office, as his dad had forced him to because he had been wasting his time. He went on and said that his dad had told him to get married and settle down if he wanted his inheritance and the business. He also told me that his dad had said that he would not even give him a penny if he didn't fulfill the condition. I laughed and asked him if he was here to look for a girl, to which he replied that he was not at all interested in getting married and only wanted someone for a sort of contract marriage. I told him that no one was going to agree with him. That was when he told me that he wanted me to marry him so that he could get his dad's property and then I could divorce him. I was shocked and told him that it was not going to happen. He told me that he would pay me for it and I could decide the amount. I was numb and couldn't think straight. I kept pondering over the matter the whole night, but did not inform my boyfriend of the situation. It took me a couple of days, and then I thought that there was no harm in it. My friend could be trusted, and in this way, we both would be benefiting. My friend had already flown back the next day. I talked to my boyfriend, and he was enraged. I told him that it was not a big deal, and we could discuss it. I kept on insisting for a couple of days and managed to get his agreement. I called my friend and told him that I was coming back to carry out the plan. Me, my boyfriend, and my friend had discussed everything, and we had even signed the contract. The amount was also decided, and it was far more than we had imagined. My boyfriend flew back as he had to go to his office while we made our parents meet. I had told my parents that I had broken up with my boyfriend as I realized we were not compatible. Our families already knew us and were very glad to know that we had decided to get married. We got married and everything was going well. A week passed and my parents called me to ask when I was free, as they wanted to arrange a dinner for the newlywed couple. I asked my husband and he told me that he was busy and would not attend any dinners or parties as it would create difficulties for us. I told my parents that we were not free, but they were not convinced. My boyfriend came back, and my husband told me that I could go to dinner with my boyfriend. I was worried and asked what would I tell my parents, but he said that he would handle everything. My boyfriend and I went to my parents' house. They were surprised to see us and not my husband. My mom asked what was going on, and I said that my husband was busy and my ex wanted to see them. My parents did not seem convinced, but stopped asking questions. I know I have to explain to them, but I have no guts to do so. What should I do? My mom called me the next day and told me that I had to see her and explain what was going on. I told her that I would be seeing her in the evening and she said that she would wait. Her tone was stern and I was already scared. I went to see my mom and told her the whole story. I told her that my husband, who was my friend, had paid me to act as his wife because his dad was not ready to transfer his property to him otherwise. I also showed her a copy of our contract and told her that we had to keep up the drama for some time. My mom was furious and told me that we had played with their emotions. I had told her that it was no big deal and we could handle it well. She told me that I had already created a mess and now I should give up on everything and be with my husband. She also said that I should break up with my boyfriend as I had a lawful husband now. I told her that it wasn't going to happen as I considered my husband to be my friend and could never accept him as my husband. I also told her that it was just a contract and I had no power to change it now. My mom told me that she would talk to my husband and would deal with me later. I talked to my husband the next day and told him that he had created a mess. My mom wanted us to be together, and of course anyone from our families who would know about us would definitely tell us to be together and turn the contract into a real marriage. I told him that he had messed it up by not joining me at the dinner my parents had arranged. If we would have appeared to be together, no one would have asked us any questions. I told him that my mom was going to see him, and it was he who was going to convince her that we were not meant for each other. My mom arrived at my husband's office that noon and told him that she knew what was going on. Before my husband could explain anything, she told him that whatever was done had to be settled down now. She went on and said that we had mocked such a sacred relationship and now should accept each other as husband and wife. My husband managed to convince her that it was only a contract, and how could he drag me into this relationship while I was in love with someone else? He told her that the one who was going to get hurt the most was her own daughter, so she had to keep quiet and let it be. My mom still had concerns, but was a bit calmer. Everything was going all right, and we had to pretend for a few more days only as the legal proceedings had to be done. My boyfriend was in town, and we had decided to go out for lunch. We were out when one of my father-in-law's friends saw us together and reported to him. My father-in-law thought that I had been seeing another guy and told my husband that he had seen me with some guy and maybe I was with him just for his money. My husband and I argued for a good while as the things would only get messy and I was almost done. We went to see my father-in-law and explained to him that it was a friend of mine and we were just hanging out. My husband said that he knew that I was out with my friend, and so my father-in-law did not need to worry. We thought we would handle it when my father-in-law asked why we had not posted our wedding on our social media. I was stunned and could not come up with an answer, but my husband told him that he wanted to keep it private to avoid controversies, as I had been in a relationship with someone else recently. Just to mention that I had already archived the posts, which included my boyfriend, so I can say that we were saved for the day. Our contract ended, and it was a relief for both of us. I could not leave instantly after my husband had got the property, so we announced that I had landed a job and had to leave for New York. My father-in-law insisted that I stay and join their business, but I told him that I was great with my career. I left almost a month later, so it might not look obvious. We've decided to meet occasionally and pretend to be husband and wife for some time, and then my ex-husband is going to announce that I had left him for some other guy. We had to stay under constant fear of getting caught, and my mom told me several times to give up on it, because I had started it. It was me who had to end it. My ex-husband paid me well, and that is what makes me glad that I did it. I know you guys are going to judge me, but who cares, to be honest? NTA, that was risky, girl. Your father-in-law appears to be a powerful man who could get you in trouble, but you should be proud of yourself for handling it like a boss. If you were serious about it, you should have been more cautious, and bringing your boyfriend to dinner was ridiculous. It was also a bad idea to hang out with your boyfriend while on a mission. You could be easily caught if you do not remain vigilant. YTA, I've read the comments, but can anyone explain why this woman is being praised? I mean, she deceived or aided someone who was cheating on his own father. How could her boyfriend have allowed her to do that? Just for the money? This demonstrates how values dwindle with each passing day. OP had no problem being accused of cheating to call their marriage off in the end. Pathetic.
Next story.
One of my husband's best friends is getting married in Europe this summer to someone we have not met. The engagement has been only a few months, and we were given less than 3 months' notice of the wedding. Because it's peak travel season, post-COVID travel craze, high gas prices, short notice, etc., everything is so expensive, and doing the trip as cheap as possible for a week for the both of us would cost upwards of $7,000. We can't afford this. My husband thinks he has to go because it's one of his best friends and he was in our wedding 4 years ago. He thinks he's going to go alone with another friend while I stay home with our 2 children, 3 and 1. Am I the a-hole for saying no bloody way? Here are some more nuanced details. 3 years ago, he quit his job for a career change where he needed to go back to school for 1 year. The cost was $100,000 and now requires 2+ years of training where he makes roughly $500 a month, aka nothing. He is 2/3 of the way done with training. While I do agree it's our money, I am the breadwinner. My job provides basically all of the income being brought home. And I work a job I have no passion for because it's stable, supports our family, provides benefits, etc., while he works on his training and can be qualified to get a stable job sometime next year. We sold the house I bought before we were married and moved in with family, haven't gone on any trips, watch every dollar we spend, etc., to afford for him to pay for school and to be able to do his training. I am the default parent 99% of the time and keep our household running. Our children are fed and bathed, bring them and pick them up from school, etc. I'm a solo parent the majority of mornings and many evenings and weekends while he is completing his training. Our wedding was in the US and the friend maybe spent a total of $500 attending flight, Airbnb, suit. He didn't get us a gift. The wedding is very small. My husband is one of 3 friends invited. The rest of the people there will be family. My husband says the reason I am saying he can't go is because I am jealous. Yeah, I am jealous. I haven't traveled in years, which I love doing. I sacrifice so much for him to follow his dreams, and he wants to pull a significant amount of money out of our dwindling savings to leave me alone with both kids for a week while he gallivants with friends through Europe. This is messed up, right? AITA? Who the hell does he expect to pay for this? That's really the only thing I see here that really makes a difference. Let me explain. It already seems like he's not doing jack shit as far as raising the kids and keeping up the home. As selfish as he's already being, there's not much of a difference in that regard. He's bringing home $500 a month. As a grown-ass man, he should be ashamed of the miserable pittance he's bringing home. That being said, the cost of this trip will probably mostly come from what you contribute to the household income. And again, he should be ashamed to ask this of you. No, you're NTA. But I feel like if he's insistent on going, you should tell him to ask his friend if he can join their marriage and serve him divorce papers. NTA because you cannot afford it. Was this a cheaper trip to another state and you had the funds but didn't want to? I'd have a harder time voting the same. Your husband is focused only on the fact that you are jealous, and damn right you can feel that. But perhaps it's time to sit him down, have him do a complete budget, and realize he's being a financial drain on the family already, and he doesn't get to take a pickaxe to the sink for a buddy's wedding. What's going to be given up for $7,000? The kids' daycare? Food? Even less contributed to the family home? More taken from your assets? The balls of him to even think that this would be a possibility with his lack of income. Wow.
Next story.
My husband and I have been married for 2 years and have 5 children. His daughter from a previous marriage, 16, my 2 sons from a previous relationship, 13 and 15, and 2 children together, ages 3 and 1. My husband's daughter lived primarily with her mother until she was in 8th grade. when she was offered a scholarship to go to a very good boarding school for high school. I've never agreed with the idea of sending teenagers to live away from family, but her mother and my then fiancé agreed that it would be beneficial for her. They drafted a new custody agreement to reflect the new school schedule. My husband moved out of state, so he always has summers and holidays anyway. When I married my husband, I thought that she would be just a day boarder, which seems better than full-time, so I let it go. By the time I learned the truth, 2020 was in full swing, and removing her would have been safe even if she wanted to leave, which she didn't. Fast forward to 2022. She's 16 years old and a junior. I recently learned that her mother moved back to her home country 6 months ago and has been letting my stepdaughter manage her own money. This means that there's now not even a parent in the same state or even side of the country from my stepdaughter. She is completely independent in her day-to-day life. My stepdaughter has every weekend unsupervised to do whatever she pleases and independent access to not only multiple major cities, but is only a day trip from another country that she has dual citizenship with. I've seen Facebook posts of her just going to art shows in other states without her having even pretended to ask one of her parents for permission. This isn't acceptable. It's not okay for a teenager to just go live her life on her own, especially to this degree. We have 2 sons that are only 1 and 3 years behind her, and they're starting to see the double standard as well. I would never let any of my kids do the things that my stepdaughter is doing. She's my child too, and this needs to stop. She needs to change schools to be either with her mother or with us and be part of a family. My husband says that it's different because she was raised differently and is just more responsible. But that's bull. If he actually thinks she's not being a normal 16-year-old with that level of freedom, he's lying to himself. My stepdaughter loves her school, of course, and is very resistant to changing schools for all of 1 year of high school to leave her friends, and no doubt doesn't want to actually have rules. I'm still pushing the issue, and now my husband and stepdaughter are mad at me for trying to change the status quo. The boys are mad at me for having double standards, and other family members are mad at me for either over or understepping in my role. AITA? YTA. She's at boarding school and doesn't need to ask permission to see art shows. You're being dramatic, and she's not even your child. On top of that, you're controlling. You're acting as if she's getting drunk and high every night and interacting with bad people her age or older. Calm down. You have no reason for her to change schools, and you're overstepping your role. Her parents already created a plan, and you have to respect that.